Story number 1. The silence in the Louisiana swamp was thick enough to chew on. Spanish moss hung from cypress trees like an old man's beard, dripping with the morning dew. I, along with my partner, Louis, waded deeper into the murky water, our boots squelching with each step. We were seasoned gator hunters, but this year, the swamp felt different. An unsettling quiet hung in the air, broken only by the occasional croak of a frog or the buzz of unseen insects. "Something ain't right, Ben," Louis muttered, his voice barely a whisper above the sucking sounds of the mud. He was a man of few words, but the worry etched on his weathered face spoke volumes. News of missing livestock and strange lights flickering across the swamp at night had reached our ears, but seasoned hunters like us scoffed at ghost stories. Suddenly, a loud splash erupted from the murky depths a few yards ahead. My heart hammered in my chest as I raised my rifle, adrenaline surging through my veins. But instead of a pair of reptilian eyes, a skeletal form broke the surface. It was a deer, its flesh stripped bare, picked clean by scavengers. A shiver ran down my spine. This wasn't the work of a gator. We continued our trek, the unsettling feeling thickening with each step. The air grew colder, despite the afternoon sun filtering through the dense canopy. Then, a low growl resonated through the swamp, a guttural sound that sent a primal fear clawing at my throat. Louis and I exchanged a worried glance, our hands tightening on our rifles. The growl came again, closer this time, accompanied by the unmistakable snap of twigs underfoot. We backtracked slowly, I scanning the dense undergrowth. The growl intensified, morphing into a blood-curdling roar. A monstrous creature emerged from the thick foliage, its silhouette vaguely humanoid but impossibly tall and lean. Its eyes glowed a sickly yellow, reflecting the dappled sunlight. It let out another earth-shattering roar, the sound vibrating through my bones. Fear paralyzed me for a moment. But Louis, ever the stoic hunter, fired a shot. The creature roared in pain, but it didn't fall. It charged, a blur of bone and muscle, leaving a trail of flattened vegetation in its wake. We turned and ran, adrenaline pumping, the creature's heavy footfalls echoing behind us. We stumbled through the swamp, branches tearing at our clothes, thorns digging into our flesh. The monstrous creature seemed tireless, its growls urging us forward. Finally, we reached a clearing, a small abandoned shack standing precariously on the edge. With a desperate surge of energy, we burst through the rickety door and slammed it shut behind us. The creature slammed into the shack, sending a tremor through the rickety structure. We huddled in the corner, rifles poised, waiting for the inevitable breach. Hours crawled by, punctuated by the creature's growls and the pounding on the flimsy door. Just as we were about to give up hope, the pounding stopped. Exhausted and terrified, we waited another hour before cautiously approaching the door. Louis pushed open the creaking door a sliver, peering out with a wary eye. The clearing was empty. We emerged from the shack, shaky legs barely holding us up. Relief washed over me, mingled with a deep sense of unease. The swamp felt different now, a malevolent entity that had tested us and somehow let us live. News of our encounter spread like wildfire in the small town bordering the swamp. Some scoffed at our story, calling it a product of overactive imaginations and too much swamp whiskey. But others, particularly those who had lost livestock or witnessed the strange lights, looked at us with a mixture of fear and respect. We never did hunt gators in that swamp again. The memory of the creature, its bone-chilling roar, and the sheer primal terror it instilled in us remains a chilling reminder of the secrets that lurk in the Louisiana swamps. Story number 2. The oppressive heat of the Australian outback shimmered off the red sand, distorting the horizon into a mirage. Two friends, Sarah and Emily, seasoned backpackers, trekked deeper into the vast emptiness, their laughter echoing faintly in the stillness. They were on a week-long exploration of a remote Aboriginal sacred site marked only on a worn map passed down through generations in Sarah's family. They set up camp just before dusk, the setting sun casting long, eerie shadows across the ancient rock formations. As they huddled around a crackling fire, Sarah recounted the stories her grandfather, an anthropologist, had told her about the Dreamtime, the Aboriginal creation stories, and the spirits that guarded these sacred lands. Emily, more pragmatic, dismissed the stories as folklore. The night descended quickly, punctuated by the eerie calls of unseen nocturnal creatures. Sleep came fitfully, plagued by unsettling dreams of glowing eyes and guttural growls. At dawn, Emily woke to find Sarah missing. Panic surged through her. She called out Sarah's name, her voice swallowed by the vast emptiness. Following faint tracks, Emily found a trampled patch of earth near a large rock overhang. A chilling realization dawned on her: dingoes, wild Australian dogs, were known to attack humans in this region. Tears stinging her eyes, Emily followed the tracks deeper into the maze of rock formations, her heart pounding with dread. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, the air grew heavier. The silence was broken only by the frantic pounding of her own heart. Suddenly, a guttural growl echoed through the canyon, and a monstrous creature emerged from the shadows. It was vaguely canine, but far larger and more muscular than any dingo, a towering mass of teeth and claws, its eyes glowing with an unnatural red light. Emily froze, fear paralyzing her. The creature stalked towards her, its growl resonating through her very bones. Desperate, she remembered her grandfather's stories about respecting the spirits of the land and making offerings. She rummaged through her backpack, pulling out a small pouch of dried fruit, a meager offering. As the creature lunged, she tossed the fruit in the air, screaming, "Leave me alone. This is sacred ground." The creature paused, its red eyes momentarily flickering. Then, to Emily's utter astonishment, it sniffed the air, turned, and disappeared into the maze of rocks. Shaking with fear and relief, Emily stumbled back to camp, tears streaming down her face. She never saw Sarah again. Back in civilization, authorities dismissed her story as a tragic dingo attack. But Emily knew better. The creature that stalked her was no ordinary animal. It was a guardian of the Dreamtime, a terrifying reminder of the power and respect owed to these ancient lands. The outback held its secrets close, and Emily, forever haunted by her experience, carried the chilling memory within her. Story number 3. The crisp autumn air whipped through Henry's beard as he traversed the familiar deer trail in the Appalachian Mountains. A seasoned hunter for over 40 years, these woods were his second home. This year, however, a strange tension hung in the air. Animals seemed scarce, and an unsettling quiet blanketed the normally bustling forest. Pushing aside a low-hanging branch, Henry stumbled upon a sight that sent chills down his spine. A mangled deer carcass lay sprawled on the mossy ground, its entrails ripped out with an unnatural violence. Unlike the usual predator kills, there were no clear bite marks, just a gaping maw suggesting something far more savage. A cold unease crept into Henry's gut, replacing the usual thrill of the hunt. He continued his trek, his senses on high alert. The silence was broken only by the rustle of leaves underfoot. As dusk approached, casting long shadows through the dense canopy, his unease solidified into a full-blown sense of dread. Then, a sound pierced the stillness, a low, guttural growl that echoed through the trees, unlike anything he'd ever heard. Panic surged through Henry. He had heard stories from his grandfather, whispers of a creature called the Skinwalker, a shape-shifting entity said to roam these mountains, preying on the unwary. Dismissing them as folklore all his life, Henry now found himself grappling with a terrifying reality. The growl came again, closer this time, followed by the unmistakable snap of twigs. Fear propelled him forward. He stumbled through the darkening forest, his heart hammering in his chest. The ground sloped steeply downwards, and he tripped, sprawling onto a bed of damp leaves. His rifle clattered away, lost in the undergrowth. As he scrambled to his feet, a monstrous figure emerged from the shadows. It was bipedal, but far taller and leaner than any bear. Its eyes glowed an unnatural red in the fading light, and its body was covered in matted fur that shimmered with an otherworldly sheen. The stench of decay filled the air, a sickening reminder of the deer carcass. Terror locked Henry's legs in place. The creature let out a bone-chilling roar, the sound resonating through the valley. He closed his eyes, bracing himself for the inevitable attack. But then, a blood-curdling scream ripped through the night, a sound far closer than the creature. He opened his eyes to see a sight that defied belief. A figure clad in dark clothing, wielding a strange, glowing weapon, stood between him and the creature. A blinding flash erupted from the weapon, sending the creature reeling back with a deafening screech. The figure, their face obscured by a hood, spoke in a language Henry didn't understand. But the message was clear: "Follow me." He stumbled after them, fear and confusion swirling in his head. They led him to a hidden cave entrance, where a group of people, dressed in similar dark clothing, awaited them. Relief washed over Henry as they pulled him inside, away from the unearthly creature and into the safety of the cave. Over the next few hours, using broken English and gestures, they explained their mission: to protect humans from these shape-shifting predators. The Skinwalkers, they revealed, were not mere folklore, but a real and deadly threat. As dawn broke, they led Henry back to the edge of the forest, his rifle miraculously retrieved. A single, unspoken warning lingered in their eyes: keep this secret. Standing at the forest edge, Henry looked back at the looming trees, no longer a familiar haven, but a place shrouded in fear and mystery. He returned home a changed man. He never spoke of the creature he encountered, nor the hooded strangers who saved him. But the memory of that night, the horrifying roar, and the chilling reality of the skinwalker remained etched in his mind, a constant reminder of the secrets that lurk in the heart of the Appalachian Mountains.